Welcome to My Spoonie Sisters, featuring stories from special guests dedicated to empowering those with chronic illness. Our goal? To connect people and provide the support and tools they need to live a better life. For those with chronic illness, our energy levels just fade faster. We must be more purposeful with the spoons allotted to us. So grab your coffee or tea, sister, and tune in as My Spoonie Sisters share stories of living with chronic illness. Hi, my Spoonie Sisters. I am so excited to introduce you to my friend. This is Antoinette. Hello.
Hi, Jenny. Hi. Hi,
hey,
everyone.
girl.
Hi, fellow Spoonie Sisters.
How are you today?
I'm doing fine. I'm just, relaxing. I had a big weekend. I was wearing heels all weekend, dressing up. So I'm laying low today.
Should we tell everybody why you had such a big weekend?
Sure. This weekend, I actually had to go to a couple events. So when I go to these events, I try to spruce myself up. And even though I have RA, I know that if I wear heels today, tomorrow, I'm going to have to relax. So it's all about, the compromise and being aware that, Antoinette, if you make this decision today, it may affect how you have to move tomorrow. So, I'm just relaxing today. Look, I worked for it. I did it. So it's over. And also, I celebrated my 27th birthday. So listen, I'm so excited. I said, listen, if there's one time I'm going to do it, it's going to be today. So I wear heels today and I will heel tomorrow. That's literally how I did it.
I love that. Heels today and heel tomorrow.
Yep.
Well, hopefully you felt super spoiled yesterday.
I did a little bit. I told them that whenever you go tomorrow, I said, today, listen, I want to take my birthday cake, keep the gluten in it today. Look, I'm going to take all the gluten. I need all of my sugar. I need all of the sweetness. It's quite okay. It's my birthday. I can do it today.
Yay. Okay. Let's start out by telling a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, as you introduced me, my name is Antoinette Atkinson. I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I do have a secondary health issue, which is hypothyroidism. But rheumatoid arthritis is like my most prevalent one. So RA began for me at age 20, literally. So my whole 20s have been pretty much, plagued with, fighting RA this far. That's all I've been doing is RA. So RA hit me when I was in college. So it became more real when I was in like my sophomore year. I noticed that my feet were aching, my knees were getting sore, and all these things were happening. And so when I would go to like my little pediatrician back then, she would let me know that, well, you are a little bit heavier, you may need to lose a little bit of weight to get off your knees. Don't they always like kind of go for something else outside of the issue that you're going in for?
Sure.
Like, listen. So I said, okay, well, all right, let me go home. Let me, try to work on losing weight, trying to work on, find different ways to, get this weight off of me. And so I went on, moved on past that and just try to lose my weight, went back to school. And then I noticed, my hands were starting to ache. I noticed I could no longer braid my hair, comb my hair. I could no longer take my notes properly in class. And then, eventually it got worse off and worse off, where eventually I started having to use a crutch to get across campus. And if you know anything about, living across campus, plus having a whole, at that time I didn't know it was RA, but having, sore feet, I was trying to walk in the most comfortable shoes. At one point, I could only make it across campus in like slippers, thick slippers. And I was pushing. And eventually it got worse off where, I end up, being completely dependent on crutches and a cane. And then I end up having to drive myself from one side of campus just to get to class on the other side. And at the same time, I was living in a little apartment. In my apartment, I lived on the second floor. And this apartment did not have any elevators. So, I had to climb the stairs in crutches. So listen, if it's something anybody says about it, I literally had to hustle and move. I had to make it happen for myself. It's something about, having the type of resilience deep down in your heart where it won't let you stop no matter what. So I was pushing. And eventually, I got so bad off that my mother actually had to move onto campus with me. And so, when she moved onto campus with me, we tried to do that for a little while. And eventually, I even got even worse off than that. And at that time, I had to move right back home because I could no longer stay up. I could not take care of myself at campus. My mother couldn't stay up here, with me too much longer. So I moved back home, and then we tried to do commuting back and forth, an hour up and an hour back. And this time I had actually became wheelchair bound. So like I could not stand by myself without no help. Like I couldn't stand, I couldn't do anything for myself. I could barely even lift my own leg by myself. So we were trying to, go commute from one way here, one way there. It was hour both ways. At this time, I was also, I was about 1 year, this is like further up, I was like 1 year from graduating. And I was like on my last year before I could graduate. And so that's why I was trying to push so much to, finish out and do what I could do. So I was pushing and pushing and pushing. And eventually, I couldn't push no more because at that time I ended up becoming bedridden. So I went from wheelchair bound to actually being bedridden. So we had to completely, take that off, take the rest of the semester off and just like emergency medical leave. So listen, that's pretty much where it all started, was from there. And then so after all this, I'm in the house, I'm bedridden, I'm wheelchair bound, I'm sitting in my bed. And eventually, my mother, we talk about, Antoinette, maybe you need to, let's get a proper test, right? Because we don't need to go off this lady. She said, lose weight. Okay, well, this has gone further on. Like this cannot have anything to do with weight right here. At this point I had lost 70 pounds in like 2 months, like quickly and rapidly like that. So that was my key to let me know, like, no, this is bigger than like a weight issue, like, weight being on your knees.
Exactly.
So from there, my mother ended up passing away like a few months later before I was able to get into my appointment. Actually, 1 month earlier before I was able to get into my first appointment. And at that appointment, they took my blood work and, he let me know that, Antoinette, like, your blood levels are supposed to be between, I believe it's like 2 and 14, no higher than 14. When he took my blood levels on my RA factor, it came in at over 600, so high that they could not even place it. So they even know like what the real number is. It could have been up in the thousands, like that extreme. Because I was so bad off, I was wheelchair bound, I was bedridden, all this stuff at the same time. And so he took my levels and my inflammation levels were so high. He said, your blood is on fire. I said, wait, what do you mean? He broke it down all to me. And he actually diagnosed me with severe RA. And at that time, a big part of the story is that I had never had no kind of medications before in my life. I had never been on any kind of treatments, nothing. Everything I had done was holistic or like natural resources, right? So he immediately like threw me on medications and stuff like that, to try to kind of attack it because it was so severe and so extreme that he said, we need to get this down as soon as possible. He told me about how, even though RA, is most known for affecting joints and bones, causing discomfort, in severe cases, it can start attacking your organs, like real vital organs. So like I've tried to tell people all the time, like RA is not just joints. It's not just like bones. No, this is a real kind of holistic body kind of thing. You feel me? Like this could attack multiple things. So don't never, get misconstrued that it's just, joints and bones. No, it could affect more than that. So you got to care for yourself. So he immediately put me on treatments, and remember, I had never been on anything. So after immediately putting me on treatments, I want to say within 4 months, I was actually back up and walking. After being wheelchair bound and bedridden, for them past 2 years. So I was RA began for me at age 20, got my official diagnosis at 22, I believe, 22, I want to say 21, 22. And then, I was back up walking. And now here I am, I'm 27 now. Listen, back in my heels. I'm just going with the flow. That's my but that's like the beginning part of my RA story.
And that's quite a story, isn't it? Because I think there's so many of us that have some similarities with that. The struggle with finding a diagnosis or finding a doctor that takes us seriously, getting blown off and saying, well, you're not active enough, or you need to lose weight, or you need to do this and you need to do that. And it's like, once you get the proper medical team and care and medications or whatever you need, all of a sudden it's like a whole new thing.
That's the part, it's like so many times, the doctors will let you know, or like you go into a doctor before they like even take your blood work, they're automatically telling you, they're trying to kind of diagnose you off of what they see. Right. So like a big person walking into the RA or walking into, the ER, they're automatically gonna say, oh, well, it must be weight related. No, sometimes it's not weight related. Had I went off of what this lady said, that it was just weight related and just stuck with that completely, even throughout all the different things that happened, thinking, that I'm in a wheelchair because my knees can no longer take my weight, or, thinking I'm using crutches because no longer my ankles can no longer take my weight. All these things, that could have really, messed me up even worse, because I would have had in my mind that this was because of me, I could fix this, this is something that's, temporary. No, I had a whole autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis. And not only was it rheumatoid arthritis, it was a severe case. So, it's a big thing to advocate for yourself. I'm really big about that also. You're very true.
And that's what I'm so thankful for. You've jumped in the community and you just rally behind everybody. And the encouragement and positivity that you bring to everybody is such an uplifting and needed thing. You come to our warrior group and you're just,
yes.
And sometimes we have, people that are really struggling and a little bit pessimistic, and to have people that come in and have the level of positivity that you have, we need that. It's so important.
And that's a big part of it. Not only am I here to, although those parts are valid, because trust me, I'm as positive as can be, and I'm optimistic also. But the reality is, if it hurts, sometimes you're going to cry. You feel me? If you're in pain, or if you're missing out on things in life, you're going to be a little bit depressed. You feel me? If there's a lot of stuff you're missing, moments that you cannot remake up, life is going on around us. We're sitting here trying to survive, but life around us is still moving on. People are still getting married. People are still having their children. People are still graduating, achieving goals that you're sitting here and you're like, oh my God, I'm stagnant. Like, oh my God, I should be doing that. No, I should be doing this. Me, I'm hitting 27, it's certain stuff I should already have accomplished in life, or stuff that I was actively pursuing that I literally got stopped and cut off right mid-track because, already I had to focus on my health. That was my biggest priority. So it's like when life comes and gives you another priority on top of, just living, like, you're not here, like, I can no longer like really just exist anymore. I'm actually fighting for something. Like, I'm fighting to like, be sane. I'm fighting to, for my health. I'm fighting to be able to do stuff in the future. I'm fighting to, these treatments. There's so many different things you're focusing on. So outside of, letting everybody, trying to keep an optimistic thing, I'm also here, to keep, things valid. Like, I don't want to give nobody no false hope. I'm not trying to give you no fake truths, nothing easy just for you to swallow, like not trying to mislead you or nothing. I just want you to know, like, the real, true, real deal. And the truth is, that overall, like, RA is not pretty, but like life can still be beautiful. That's a big part of it. Like, you're like, hey, my fellow Spoonie sister, like, listen, like, don't give up. Yeah, it's gonna be hard. Like, you're valid where you're at. If you're hurting today, I know you're hurting. This is a hurtful thing. You feel me? We're in pain. A lot of us are in pain. We're missing out on things. If you're depressed, that's fine. But listen, get up, get back up. Do what you got to do. Push through it. You can make it. Somebody else around you has made it. You feel me? That's literally my thing.
And give ourselves a time limit. I posted something about that on the My Spoonie Sisters page yesterday. We need to give ourselves a time limit to wallow. Because if I wallow every single day, all day long, how's my life going to go?
Yeah, you got to be able to let yourself know, I need to get up today. Listen, I'm going to sit here. I could cry today and tomorrow. I might even cry tomorrow, next week one time. But that's perfectly okay. That's valid. But also let yourself know, no, I'm getting up today. I'm still going to do this regardless. I don't care if I cried last night. I'm going to get up today and I'm going to go exercise. Or I'm going to get up today. I'm going to make sure I got all my treatments here that I need, all my medications. If you do medications, or I got all my health vegetables that I need. Find a way to keep moving. That's a big thing.
I think that's such an important thing. And I know that for me, in the very beginning of my story, I didn't understand that. I basically thought I was going to be crippled and it was the end of my world. And, if it wasn't for people that constantly reminded me to keep moving, I'm scared to know where I would be. I
understand that completely.
And I think that's why it's so important that we have people like you, people like me, people like the rest of the girls in our group, because we need to encourage the people that are just beginning their story.
That's a big part. And honestly, my biggest thing that I do on my social media, on my RA page, I have a hashtag called RA looks like me too. Because it's like dismantling, stereotypes around, stereotypes and raising awareness about my dynamic disability. And about the vast variety of the Spoonie spectrum, because once again, at the end of the day, RA is not one size fit all. You feel me? Like, don't come in here, judging your life off of what else somebody else has went through. You don't know their background. You don't know, what RA is not going to affect us all at the same, together at the same way. We're not going to be able to treat it with the same medications. Like, this is your journey. It's literally, that's why they call it your journey. This is your journey. It's going to be to you what it's going to be to you. You feel me? And not only that, but even if you experience certain things, during your journey, I'm the perfect example. I call it the spoonie spectrum. I have been on both sides of the spoonie spectrum. I have been wearing heels with my diagnosis with RA, and I've also been wheelchair and bedridden. And not only that, not only have I been both sides of the spectrum, I have been interlooping. So I have been down and I've also been back up. And then I've also been back down. But then I've also been back up. Like it's not, I know I feel a friend, you know, I feel a spoonie sister, Chelsea, from my immune system hates me podcast. Yep. Yes. She said, she once told me that RA is not linear. This is not no one thing. Just because you're down right now, you're not going to stay down. No, you'll get back up. You'll work through it. It's just one of the things. As in life. That's just how life is normal. And that's not even nothing, specific just to RA warriors or even fellow spoonie sisters. Like that's nothing specific, just us. That's just life as it is. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes it's going to rain, and sometimes you're going to have the prettiest flowers. That's just how RA is.
It's roller coaster. Life is a roller coaster. It doesn't matter what your diagnosis is.
Literally.
We need a song for it.
Listen.
So let's see here. I've gone on rabbit trails with you. What does your self-care list look like? Calling all Spoonies. As a host of a chronic illness podcast, nothing lights up my day more than hearing from you, our incredible listeners. Whether it's a topic close to your heart that you want us to uncover, or you are keen to show your own journey as a guest on our show, your voice matters. Living with chronic illness can often feel isolating, but through the power of podcasting, we can come together as a community to uplift, educate, and inspire one another. Your stories, insights, and questions drive the conversations we have and the topics we explore. So if there's something on your mind, a story that you are just itching to share, or a guest you'd love to hear from, don't hesitate to reach out. Your voice is not only welcomed here, but celebrated. Let's continue to amplify the voices of those living with chronic illnesses and create a space where everyone feels heard, supported, and empowered. Together, we are stronger.
So my self-care list, it looks more like I'm indulging in like my favorite pastimes, my favorite hobbies. So like I'm all around creative, right? So I sing, I sew, I write, I draw, I paint. I love to read, I love family time, but like specifically to self-care wise, I love to dress up and doll up. You know how they say like sometimes just, put on a lipstick. It'll make you feel better. That really does work. Sometimes if you're feeling bad, you're not feeling your best, get up that day and just do your hair. Put on your favorite dress. Just take a picture. That kind of stuff works for me. That's literally my favorite pastimes. Oh, and don't forget, I love to get my favorite meal. Look, keep the gluten, but I'll take it. That's literally like all those little things that make me happy. But basically, little things that make me happy don't take too much effort. Just simple things.
So what is your favorite meal?
My favorite meal. Okay, so the easiest meal I would even recommend to like even RA warriors or even not even RA warriors, but other fellow warriors, spoonie sisters. I do a one pot like chicken chili that I love so much. Ooh. And I pair my chicken chili because remember I had cut out red meat at the beginning of my journey, in an attempt to try to do everything to get the RA inflammation numbers down. I cut out red meat. I call myself cutting out chicken. I call myself cutting out gluten. I try to cut out everything in the very beginning. Now, unfortunately, the red meat stuck, yes, but unfortunately, I could not do without the chicken. So I brought the chicken back. So I do a nice chicken chili. And I pair my chicken chili with either, sometimes I do rice, sometimes I do tortilla chips, sometimes I do both. Top it with cheese. I like it spicy, and that's literally how I do it.
I think you're making me hungry.
Look, food inspo and encouragement.
I'm all about the pasta. I don't know if that's like the Italian side of my genetics, but and that's of course gluten. I think I have a gluten addiction.
Listen, the things that we love are the things that's going to test us. Literally.
Absolutely. All right. What do you think is your most triumphant warrior moment?
Okay, so honestly, my most triumphant warrior moment is not just one single moment. It's every single time, throwback to when I was wheelchair bound and bedridden. Every single time I got up out my bed, like not standing, but I had to use a BZ board or transfer board to scoot into my wheelchair. Every time I left my house in my wheelchair, that was a triumphant moment for me. I remember the first day I left my house in my wheelchair, when I was wheelchair bound and bedridden at the same time, I got into my wheelchair. and I had my family drive me up to our nearest YMCA local center. I went to the pool area. I got into the handicap accessible chairlift and lowering device. I sat in there and I got into the pool and I did a workout. And I want to say that right there was the most first triumphant moment. But overall, that has all of the moments that I left my house in the wheelchair was triumph to me, because it showed me that RA won't beat me. You feel me? Like, I am resilient, that I will find another way to conquer life regardless. Like, I don't care if I'm in a wheelchair. I don't care if I'm on crutches. I would prefer not to be. Look, don't get me wrong. I prefer not to be. But if that push come to shove, life is not going to stop me. No, I keep pushing regardless. And I can say this because I've been there. I've been in the wheelchair. I've been wheelchair bound for over 2 years. I've been bedridden. Those days when I was sitting in this house and look at these four walls and think that, this was the end all be all before I knew anything RA wise. So it's like, every time I left my house, every time I even think about, how I went to go to church in my wheelchair. I used to go to social events in my wheelchair. You know what? Life went on. I did what I could do regardless. I did not stop. RA don't stop nothing. You feel me? All these autoimmune diseases, my Spoonie sisters, don't let it stop nothing. You push regardless. There's always a different way around it. Maybe you couldn't do it the same way that you used to do it. Maybe you couldn't do it how everyone else has done it. Find your own way to do it. I don't care how it is. Maybe you can't go sit in the class, to get your degree like everybody else. Maybe you have to do it online. There's so many, find a way to do it, Spoonie sisters. Find a way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think are a few misconceptions when it comes to rheumatoid arthritis that you actually believed in the beginning?
So some main misconceptions that I didn't believe, or that I believed in the beginning. In the beginning, I thought that, because remember, this was before anything else, before I had learned anything new. So in the very beginning, I thought that just because, Antoinette, you're in a wheelchair now, you're bedridden, that, oh my God, this is life for me now. Mm-hmm. No. Very bad misconception, because look, I was in a wheelchair and bedridden, and yet within just 4 months, within 4 months, I was back up, trying on heels. Like, no, that was a main misconception, that I thought just because I was here, this is where I was going to, this is what life was for me now. This is where I was going to stay. No, it's not linear. RA is not one size fits all. RA looks like me too. I got back up. I got back into all my stuff, all the stuff that I was doing. But a big misconception, even community-wise or outside of the community too, like with everybody else around the world, is that when you say RA, they automatically just, when you think of arthritis, the first thing that pops into your head is, an old woman, old woman,
old crippled
like
person.
She looks, listen, that's it. And look like feeble, like small, everything's gnarled up. And like, people are forgetting that things have changed these days. We have treatments that they didn't have that back then, thank God, because, unfortunately, to the ones who suffered, before us, a lot of these treatments they didn't have back then. So it was that could have been reality back then, but reality has changed. Things have changed. We have treatments these days. Some of us are not even having, some of the, deformities and stuff. We're able to hold that off. Some of us are heading in remission sooner than others. Back in the day, this may have been unheard of, something like that was like almost, it probably felt like a death sentence to them back then. It was like an end all be all. But these days, no, you can still have life, and life more abundant these days. But that's a big misconception, that it looks a certain way, and that, whatever you suffer, that's where you're stuck at. Nope.
I believed it too. And yep. When I was first diagnosed, even before I was diagnosed and they thought that's what was going on, I pictured my great grandma, because my great grandma had it. And, I think she passed when I was like 4, but I've got pictures, and she was in a wheelchair. And the way my mom described it to me was, they didn't have options back then. It was ibuprofen, and that was about it. That probably was it back then. And she would wear canvas shoes. And what they did was they cut out holes on the sides to make room for her bunions and her deformities.
Wow.
And so that's what I pictured. And so in my head, that was my future.
And you know what else? It doesn't help that whenever you search these things up, I wish they would update the catalogs, right? Like, it was one thing to keep them realistic, but like, I wish they would update the pictures for RA, like update some of the stuff. And that's a big part of my like mission that I'm really like passionate about, is with my hashtag that I told you all before, RA looks like me too. It's showing a whole nother side to RA. Like, yes, the truth is that sometimes we're suffering, like things are bad. Sometimes our medications are not going through properly. But on the other side, we're not just stuck in bed crying, woe is me, woe is me. No, some of us are getting up and living good lives. Amongst us, there are dancers amongst us. Shout out to Spoonie sister Chelsea. There are weightlifters amongst us, actual like going to championships.
Danny.
Shout out to Spoonie sister Danny. Yes. Like we have creatives in here. Shout out to Spoonie sister Samantha. Like there's so much amongst us. Like, no, don't ever think that this is the end all be all and that all these fellow women are just sitting here and just, suffering. Like we're suffering, yes, but we're also living life. We can also do some of the things that you all are doing too. We may be suffering. We may have to find a different way to do it, but we are capable. We are capable somewhat.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if it's an autoimmune disease, depression, anxiety, bipolar, whatever it is. We can live a normal life. We really can.
We are capable of doing that. There's new treatments out here available for us to try these ways. But listen, back to that thing about the pictures of RA. I really wish, they would really change that and update the catalogs and the pictures and all that kind of stuff, because just like you said, you remember how you remember a flashback of what Ari was to you through your grandmother and her having to cut the holes in her shoes just for her feet to fit. When you look at these pictures or say like newly diagnosed warriors, like this is a real, like, it's really shocking for them to see like these kind of things. Even if it's a reality of some people, it's not a reality of all people. So to have that picture sitting there for the complete diagnosis of everyone is like a big, low-key disservice, because, before a person even gets to have a different kind of introduction to RA, they're automatically thrown at extreme part of it. You feel me? A part that may not even be a reality for many of us. Like many of us have not even had that reality, but yeah, it's like the first thing that newly diagnosed people are seeing. So it's automatically giving us like a, whoa, like it low-key scares you. Like low-key, if you search too deep, like I was searching one time, found all kinds of stuff out, I'm finding, have a little chest ache and you think you're having a heart attack. Like it's so much stuff. Then, I had a little, like I told you, I had a little chest ache and I thought I was having a heart attack. Come to find out my heart wasn't even down there. My heart is in a whole nother different area. It's like all these little things, you have you stressing and not even like really thinking about it. But that's a weird thing. I wish they would go ahead and, update those pictures or update, what RA is to the world.
Maybe they will if we blow up your hashtag enough photos of all of us. Me too.
Listen.
All right. We need to actually make sure we put your hashtag in the show notes and get people to blow it up.
Listen, jump on it. It's for us all. It's for us all.
So some of these questions I might actually skip because I feel like in a way you've already answered them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Were you familiar with the term spoonie?
Okay, so the word spoonie specifically, no, I was not aware of that. But like, not only was I not aware of the word spoonie, but I didn't know that, spoonies are like people who were sick had like a community or like a term. So I was aware that, there's sick people in the world. And like, I was aware of, there are people that do suffer, that people that do have some kind of, sometimes they have diseases, but I didn't know anything outside of that pre-RA. And it's like pre-RA, even the thought of unrelenting, like disabling pain, that was unfathomable. Like who do thinks can even fathom somebody having to live in pain? And then not only that, the word, uncurable, like all these words, like that wasn't even fathomable to me. Like that somebody could sit in pain, you could smile at pain, you could run in pain. You mean you could swim in pain? Hold on, you're laughing. No, you mean you're still in pain? You're in those hills, but you're still in pain? Yeah, all those things were unfathomable to me. So like knowing of the term spoonie, I didn't know of that, but I did know there was people in the world, but I didn't know that they had a community.
How is knowing that and being part of that, how's that changed your life?
It's a big part, because you know what? When you're going through something as, shifting, as life-shifting and life-changing as, autoimmune diseases, chronic illnesses, it really helps to have a listening ear, somebody who can relate. It helps to have a community that you can go through. Because no matter, I don't care if you got a husband or if you got a wife, or if you got, your bestest friend, you got, your own child. Sometimes the reality is people can only relate to, or people can only understand what they can understand. Like I said before, like the word pain, like non-ending pain, like lifelong, uncurable, like all these words were unfathomable to me. So imagine for these folks, they may see you in pain, but they can't fathom it. Like some people just can't understand the thought of, what do you mean you're suffering? Like, you mean that you felt good yesterday and you don't feel good today? Wait, what do you mean? You might be feeling better later, but right now you can't do it. Like these things they don't understand. So it's like showing grace to, You almost got to show grace outside of yourself, but you also got to show grace to those around you, because the truth is they don't know. They don't understand. You can tell them as much as you want to tell them, but unless they are suffering, unless they actually have to make these decisions, these medications, unless they actually can physically feel this kind of stuff, they don't know. They just don't know. So that was a big part of, talking to somebody, people who can relate to me. I know when I first came over here to, the Spoonie side, into the Spoonie community, it really helped, to find people like you, Jenny. Like when I said you were one of the first people who kept on, inviting me to do things. I remember the first reel, you invited me on, and that was like my first, I call it my RA coming out, right? So like nobody had known that I had RA, or like on my page, I used to post about it, but I had never posted my pictures, like my actual physical, like my face, right? So I'll post pictures, but I'll crop it like right above my shoulders, or like it'll show only my wheelchair and my hands. But like you encouraged me to come out, and that's why, honestly, none of this would not have come to pass, had you not been inviting me to do stuff. And that's why it's very big for Spoonie Sisters to like make people feel comfortable, like invite people, because you never know what that person can bring to the community. You never know. You're like, your one invite could like butterfly effect to something even bigger than that. So it's like, be kind. And that really helped to, find people that could relate to me, people that could understand me, people that could, kind of, guide me, even just tell me, hey, how did this work out for you? Even though they may not work for us the same, but still just give me kind of a heads up. You feel me? A knowledgeable heads up. That really helped.
Gosh, I just love talking to you. You always, my mouth hurts from smiling so much. It actually, like, my jaw's in pain, but it's a good thing. It's a good problem. I can talk to you every day and I wouldn't get sick of it. So if I were to ask you to nominate a fellow warrior for a Spoonie Sister highlight, who would you nominate?
Actually, I would have to nominate, that's so hard, because I could either nominate, Spoonie Sister, Ashley Nicole over there at, RA Warrior Fitness, or I could nominate, the person who I first saw, when I even came into RA diagnosis, which is just our fellow Spoonie sister, Chelsea. Because honestly, with the podcast, and I'm so proud of her, because she started a podcast when I think she was only like 2 months deep. And to a lot of people, a lot of people be standoffish, they'll say, well, I'm only 2 months into this. How can I start a podcast when I haven't really experienced anything yet? But for her to take that step, and she has reached many, many, many people. And I don't think she realized how many people she has touched, how many people's heart she has, comforted, how many people she has brought, some kind of comfort, some kind of, education to. Because I just found it by searching up, and, the first day I found it, I want to say I listened to like 3 podcasts straight through. And like, it was really encouraging to hear people, it sounds funny. Like I'm happy to hear somebody else, has experienced this pain, it sounds really weird to say it like that, but honestly, that somebody could relate to what I was going through. Like I found myself, I was driving home and I was listening to the podcast, and I found myself in the car saying, OMG, me too. I was like, yes, just hearing people, like, it felt good to feel seen. I felt seen. I felt heard. I felt like somebody understood. And that's just through a podcast. So major shout out to our Spoonie sister, Chelsea, over there at My Immune System Hates Me podcast, because listen, it blessed my life. And I know it's touched many other people's lives also. And not only that, but to see her, she's a dancer, y'all. She has RA, she's a dancer, she does so many different things too outside of RA. I always like to say, RA, I'm more than RA. These people, these fellow women, these warriors, these Spoonie sisters, we are more than our autoimmune diseases. We're more than our chronic illnesses. That's not all we are. We're competent, some of us are mothers, some of us, grandmothers. We have, like I said, we have dancers, we have, champion weightlifters. We have all kind of people amongst us creatives. Like, we're so much more than our diseases. We're so much more than our illnesses.
And I wanted to cry when Chelsea told me she was ending the podcast.
Yes.
But I completely understand all of her reasons, and she's not going anywhere. She's still going to be part of our group, and I told her she's going to have to come on the podcast, maybe,
And I wish I could remember her name, so I could actually, instead of, keep shouting out the podcast, but I could shout out her actual account. I know her name's Chelsea, but I cannot remember past that.
So it's My Immune System Pod on IG, but she also has another one. I don't know if that one's set to private or not.
Yeah.
But we can reach out to her and ask if she wants us to share it or not. But she's been such an encouragement. she was an encouragement for me to start this podcast, and she gave me all kinds of tips and help, and she's amazing.
And that's a big thing also with RA, and not only that, but any kind of autoimmune diseases or any people that are out here, advocating openly or publicly, for their situations. The thing is that like Chelsea may be stepping back for a while, or like putting this on pause, or like putting this to the side for a moment, but these things live on. Like it reached somebody, like unless you take it, like completely delete them all and like take them all down. People, like there are warriors who haven't, been diagnosed yet. Like there are people that this will still inspire. There are people that this will still touch. Because no matter what, at the end of the day, she still put her mark on this world. People are better here because of her. I don't care if she did it for 2 weeks. Like this touched somebody. It reached somebody. It reached who it was supposed to reach. It inspired me. It reached me. You feel me? It reached me all the way down here in South Carolina. I'm here. I'm a little church girl. Never had anything going in my life. I'm from the oldest kid. I'm the oldest out of 8 children. From a family of 10. Church going girl. All I've known down here in the South, and that reached me and touched me and changed me. So like, that's the big thing. Like I know sometimes, doing these kind of things can feel like a thankless job. Sometimes like, oh my God, I keep doing this. I'm out here inspiring people. I'm making all these reels, I'm encouraging people. I'm sharing these posts, I'm trying to, empower people. I'm trying to, educate people, and it can feel like a thankless job, but you don't know. Maybe the person you're supposed to reach, haven't seen it yet. Maybe they haven't even been diagnosed yet. They're coming. It's going to inspire and touch who is supposed to inspire and touch. Just do you and do what you're supposed to do, and just leave it at that. And if you do it for 2 weeks, so be it. Somebody else is going to see that 2-week podcast and they're going to be so happy. It's going to touch your life. Trust me.
Oh, exactly. And, as soon as I found her podcast, I think it was back in September, I was addicted. I could not stop. I messaged her. I was like, oh my gosh, I've listened to this many already. And I kept sharing it with my daughter, who's still kind of at the beginnings of trying to figure out what's going on with her. Mm-hmm. She finally called me on Friday. I'm listening to Chelsea's podcast right now. And she wanted to tell me all about the episode she was on and all the things. And I'm like, it took you how many months to listen to me? And so I said, okay, have you listened to the My Spoonie Sisters yet? No. Are you kidding me, girl?
That's the funny part too, is that sometimes these little things help, because for family and even people who have known you for a long time, sometimes it takes somebody else to say it. Like it takes them to see a video, or it takes somebody else's testimonial to, even though we wish it wouldn't be that way, but sometimes like they don't really understand, or their mind can't correlate, or sometimes their heart can't even take like pairing them to that their mother is in pain, and like this is a reality for her. Like maybe I need to hear it from somebody else, throughout this way. So like these things help in that aspect too, that it helps for them to hear it from somebody else, or helps them to hear that this is, not only your reality, that this is the real truth. Because our hearts and our minds and our ears can put a blinder on certain stuff. Like we don't want to hear that our family is suffering. Like that's heartbreaking to some people. Like they can't take it. It's unfathomable. Like, it's like, wait, I rather, it's easy to take it from someone else. No emotion ties. You feel me? No emotional ties. Yep. So I can understand it from that aspect too. That's why a lot of these things, they help in that aspect too.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. Well, you did a shout out to a Spoonie sister. Oh gosh, what else should we cover?
Oh, I know the only thing besides the Spoonie sisters, I know you wanted me to leave like, I guess a little message, to encourage, I guess, any of my Spoonie sisters out there, which would pretty much be, like, hey, my Spoonie sister, or hey, fellow warrior, like you too are worthy of grace, love, and respect. You're worthy of support. You're worthy of dreaming. You're worthy of having your dreams come to fulfill it, being fulfilled. You're worthy of having aspirations. You're worthy of desires. You're worthy of peace, opportunities and joy. It's like, no matter what, at the end of the day, these autoimmune diseases, they're not pretty, but life can still be beautiful outside of all of this. It's good to, I always remind people, just don't forget that outside of these things, you are still a being. How sometimes, they say when you become a mother, that can kind of consume you, and you think all you are is a mother. No, You're more than a mother sometimes. You feel me? Hey, we have you, Jenny. You're a mother and you're a grandmother. But guess what you also are? You are also empowering people over there. You're an advocate. You're inspiration. You're creative. You're starting your own podcast. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, you're so much more than just that most prevalent issue at that moment, or the most time consuming thing going on in your life. You're so much more than that. And don't forget to, love on that part of you. Show grace to that part of you also.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that people really need to, I don't know, maybe record this tiny little part at the end if that's what they need to hear every single day, and play that over and over and over, and just remind themselves, you are loved, you are worthy, you are important, you are so, so much more. And
you're so much more than your diagnosis. You're so much more.
Because we can do hard things. We can, oh gosh, we are more capable than we ever give ourselves credit for.
Listen, that's why we're called warriors. You know, we don't get to become a warrior unless you have nurtured a wound. Like, we don't get here for nothing. Like, we actually, a lot of us suffer for this. Like, this is a badge we wear in honor. When we say we're warriors, that's because we are warriors. Like, we're literally out here fighting for our lives. A lot of us, you know, we're fighting for our sanity. We're fighting for our dreams. We're fighting for our aspirations. You know, we're not just here just existing. Like, we're actually fighting for something. We're fighting to, you know, to open up these doors to the world, to let people know, like, hey, y'all, hey, we're here. We're here, you know, we're here. You might want to push us against, you know, to the side. You might want us just to take the ramp, but no, we're here. You know, watch us walk these steps. You know, maybe you might have to hold up to the rail a little harder, but we're here, world. We're here. And this is how we're presenting. Some of us are presenting this way and some of us are presenting another way, but we are here.
Absolutely. Gosh, man, I could talk to you all day. Do you realize it has already been like a 53 minutes? Can you believe it?
Crazy. That is crazy.
Listen,
I love to talk.
Where did the time go? Oh my goodness. Okay. Where can people find and follow you?
So I actually have 3 IG pages. I have a personal, I have a private, and I have a public. So like when I say private, I call it my RA Warrior page. So my RA Warrior page, you can find me at illest.chronicles. So that's ILLEST.chronicles. And that is my RA page. And on that RA page, you will find, you know, rheumatoid arthritis awareness, you know, you'll find advocacy, chronic illness, relatability, and daily autoimmune experiences. You know, I welcome all fellow warriors, you know, advocates and allies to that page. So just come over and follow me on that page. And then for my personal page, which is Antoinette __ Crisana. So ANTOINETTE_Crisana, CHRISANA. And on that page, I don't really talk about RA on that page. It's more of you see the other side of a warrior, right? You see me in my heels. You see me, you know, gallivanting around my pretty dresses. I look glamorous over there. You know, I'm talking about all kind of goofy stuff. It's a whole nother side of my personality, right? Because once again, you know, we're more than our diagnosis. You know, RA is a big part of my life, but it's not all of my life. You know, and then I do have my public page, which is Tweenie _. So that's TWEENIE _. And that's just a page where I'm not really personal on there. I don't talk about RA either. It's just a page, you know, Antoinette to the world, right? That's pretty much the basics.
Well, and also, in case you didn't know this, you're another place too. So my stepdad actually created a website for my Spoonie sisters.
Oh.
And so all the links that I had for everybody, he went and snagged those, and the pictures that I have in all the highlight bubbles for you guys. So you are over on the myspooningsisters.com as well. So if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. You're there. I'm going to have to reach out to people and have each of you maybe give yourselves a little write-up that we can add about you guys. And yeah, but we've also got some of our favorite, things that we use and stuff like that over on the website too. So if there's anything that you want to have shared over there for people, send it on over and I'll make sure we get it added on. Is there anything else that you want to leave everyone with?
Listen, I'm just leaving them with well wishes, much love. Look, may your flares be few and far between, warriors, Spoonie sisters. I love you all.
Absolutely. All right. Well, my Spoonie sisters, have a wonderful day and we'll catch you next time, but don't forget your spoon. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only. Consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having. The information should not be taken as a replacement for medical, clinical, professional advice, diagnoses, or medical intervention. My Spoonie sisters and guests will not be held liable for any of the consequences of such action or inaction. Trigger warning. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including, but not limited to, suicide, abuse, mental illness, and chronic disease. You are advised to refrain from listening if you are likely to be offended or adversely impacted by any of these topics. None of the guests or hosts will be responsible for your use of the information contained therein. Life is not merely to be alive, but to be well. Living a life with a chronic illness is best described with one word: unpredictable. Be Well's products are designed to make the unpredictable easier to deal with. Back when I was getting my infusions, I would have loved to have their adult zip hoodie. They even have one in pink. They also have everything from one-day pill holders to urgency buckets. So remember, they want to make your life a little easier. So be sure to check out Be Well.